Hi, this is Stephanie, and today I'll be sharing with you a multicolor embossed card. For this card, I'm going to be using a background image stamp, stamping it on white cardstock, cutting it into pieces, and then using distress inks to make each piece a different color and then putting the panels back together. So for this card, I'll be using this lattice background stamp from Hero Arts and Studio Calico. And in addition to that, I will be using a sentiment from them as well, either this smaller sentiment here at the bottom from Wonderful World or this bigger one banner with the sentiment stamp within it. Not sure yet, we'll just decide that once we get to the end of the card. So to begin this card, you want to take your background stamp and apply Versamark stamping ink to the entire background. This is the go-to stamping ink you're going to want to use when embossing. And to make sure I didn't have any loose embossing powder scattered across the card base, I applied some powder with my EK Success powder tool. So now I'm just putting on the Hero Arts white embossing powder, and I'm going to hit that with my heat gun to completely emboss the background surface. Once I've done that, you're going to cut them into panel strips, however big you want. It's up to you depending on what size cards you're going to be making. For this card, it's a standard 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch. So my panels are roughly just under 1 1/4 inch each. And then you're going to need to pick out what distress ink colors you want to use. For this specific card, I've chosen Peeled Paint, Broken China, Wild Honey, and Tattered Rose. And once you've picked out the colors you want to use, you just want to take your craft sheet and apply the ink to each panel using your foam applicator tool. So this first one here that I'm doing is with the peeled paint, and you always want to start off of the edge and kind of work your way in. This will give nice even coverage and give a little bit of a darker edge to each of the pieces, which adds a little bit to the card once it's finished. So I'm just kind of speeding through this here now and adding the different colors. This panel here is the Broken China, and you can see how vibrant that color shows up. And as I'm embossing each piece, the white shines right through and is dominant in each panel piece. So that lattice looks really great for this technique. When doing this, you want to try and use a pattern that has a lot of open area so that you are able to see a lot of the color once you add it after the embossing is finished. So this is a great stamp to do this with. So now I have all 4 pieces completely covered with my colors. So I want to put them onto a white base. So I've cut this a little bit wider top and bottom for each piece, and then I'm just going to keep putting them on, keeping the margins, the white margin space around each one pretty similar. And then once I completely get all 4 of those on, I'm going to just trim off the excess white that I don't need, and it's ready for the front of my card. And the card base I've chosen here is Latte from Hero Arts. It's their darkest brown. It's one of my favorites. So now I'm using these 2 butterflies that I pre-die cut from an Amuse Studio butterfly die set that I have, and I cut them out of Echo Park paper. I kept the colors pretty similar to the last 2 panels of the card, so that when I put them on the other end of the card, they bring in the color from the Broken China and the Tattered Rose. So now here I am stamping the sentiment onto the white strip, and I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is one of my favorites for sentiments. It's really crisp image and really shows detail well. So once you've done that, as you can see, I cut a little arrow shape into the end of the sentiment strip to give it a banner look, and now I'm just adhering the bottom butterfly to the card base, and I'm just going to fold up the ends of the butterfly wings. Just gives it a little bit of dimension once the card is complete. For my sentiment banner, I'm going to actually just sandwich that in between the 2 butterfly pieces. So I'm going to adhere that actually right onto the blue piece and then put the pink butterfly over top. And to keep the center of the pink butterfly nice and firm against the teal butterfly, I always like to use this red super sticky tape. It just keeps the center down nice and flat, especially because I normally put foam adhesive under all of the butterfly wings, and this helps prevent this center from lifting up once you've put the foam adhesive under the wings. So now I'm just adhering the sentiment strip, and I'm going to put the pink butterfly over top. And like I said, I'm going to have foam adhesive under each of the wings so that it gives it a little bit of dimension and lifts it up off the card base. And then next I'm going to add some Hero Arts gems to the center of the butterfly. They're one of my favorite ways to embellish butterflies. Just gives them a nice elegant type look, especially for a card like this that has such pretty colors, and that lattice background really tends to go really nicely with the pearls. And then once I've added those to the center of the butterfly, I'm also going to add some loose pearls to a couple random spots on the panels right around the butterfly. I just like the look of a couple scattered pearls to go with. And I'm using my X-Acto knife here to put these pearls on. It just makes it a little bit easier to cut them apart and then lift them off of the contact sheet and place them where they need to go. And as you can see, one just got away from me there, but this is a great way to get those placed exactly where you want them. And if you're a perfectionist like me, which you can see they have to be perfectly straight, this just kind of helps move everything around. So there you can see now I'm just adding those a couple random ones that I mentioned just to give the card a finished look and add a little bit of something else to it just to give it a little bit more detail. And once I've added those, the card is finished, and it's time to adhere the actual panel piece right to the card base. To do that, normally I add the adhesive right to the card base just because the panel has foam adhesive and dimension to it now, so it's a little bit harder to get the adhesive on it. So I just add some adhesive to the base and then line up the panel onto the card, and that will finish up the card. And I usually just eyeball and kind of make sure that those margins are pretty equal all the way around. And that's it. The card is complete, and it's a great look and pretty fun. So I hope you'll give it a try. Thanks for watching.